Christiane, if you want. Thank you.
My name is Christian. I was motivated to help others, and I later found out that I have something called toxic empathy. And toxic empathy means that I help others to my own detriment. I was also hoping to earn extra money to help pay for legal fees, as my husband was going through a custody battle for his children. And the compensation from the surrogacy, I thought would help fix my family and help make another family. I signed a contract through a well-known agency in California for an IVF pregnancy with an egg donor. Though I was not informed of the risk, I agreed to have a baby for this couple that were financially stable, had an established career and home. I thought they were good people looking to finish a family. I was told that another woman would be a surrogate sister who would have become pregnant at the same time as me, but her embryo transfer had both failed. During my pregnancy, I felt a strong bond and a sense of protection with my baby. My kids all had nicknames for him. My daughter called him Baby Squishy. My nephew called him Baby Bouncy Ball. And I gave birth to all three of my children naturally. This pregnancy was different. It was high risk. When I was matched with the agency, they told me it would be just like a normal pregnancy, except that I would have to give myself shots. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. I experienced a subchronic hemorrhage in the very early stages of the pregnancy. I thought I was miscarrying the baby. After that, I had to begin weekly blood infusions 2 months before giving birth because they assumed I was going to bleed to death on my birthing bed. I was induced at the end of the pregnancy because of preeclampsia. The baby and I were both in distress, so they performed an emergency C-section. I believe it took a toll on both of us. Preeclampsia is a frequent complication with IVF surrogacy pregnancies and leads to an immediate C-section to save the mother, which is what was done with me. My brother, my nephew, my cousin, my children, my husband at the time, all came to the hospital to see the baby. To see the beautiful baby that was born and say goodbye to him. Everyone got to say goodbye except me. I was coming off of morphine and going in and out of consciousness. I didn't want to give him away. My body was telling me the whole time this baby belonged to me. And I couldn't explain it to anybody. The agency, my family, my friends all told me he wasn't mine. I felt very isolated. I held the baby once. He was a boy. We took some pictures with my family. And in 2019, that was the last time I had seen him. At that point, the commissioning father arrived after I was induced and after the baby was born. There was already problems at the hospital with him. He argued with staff about the baby's last name. The name in the contract was different from the name they wanted on the hospital birth record. That's when they discovered that the contract that I signed was fraudulent. I was lied to from the beginning. The woman who was supposed to be the commissioning mother was actually pregnant at the same time as I was. She gave birth to her baby right before I gave birth to mine. I never met her. They hid her pregnancy from me and hid it as illness. They didn't want me to find out that she wasn't infertile, as they had claimed. Later it became clear that the supposed intended parents were never intended to raise the child. The couple I was having a baby for never wanted to keep the baby. They were hired. Around the time of the baby's first birthday, they sent him to the UK with a nanny and declared that they didn't want him anymore. The man who is currently caring for the baby in the UK is the genetic father, with whom they had a contract with as well. The man who is currently caring for the baby in the UK is his genetic father, with whom they had a contract. I found out all this during the court case. I saw the contract they had together. The commissioning father and the genetic father in the UK. The contract was written on a piece of paper with an attorney's official letterhead, so it looked very legal to me. The court case was a 4-year custody battle over the baby in the UK. I paid for one of the hearings, and the man who has the baby now paid for the others. In court documents, I stated I wanted to raise the child with my husband in America. I wrote to the presiding judge, begging him to see my point of view. I do not believe my lawyers represented me well or acted in my best interest. I don't know if the child knows that he was born through surrogacy. The genetic father referred to him as a project, as if he was a social experiment. I was not treated like a human being, and it was clear that they found it deeply inconvenient that I had a mind of my own and wanted to keep the baby. I did not give up my consent for the child to be adopted. My UK lawyers tried to persuade me to give up my parental rights. No one was on my side. The agency showed little to no concern. They did send me flowers. They even tried to make me sign a confidentiality clause afterwards, but I refused. This means I can't be prosecuted for talking about my experience like today, but most surrogate mothers can't talk if they sign the clause in their contracts. The court battle ruled that the only thing I was allowed to receive was a brief update on my child twice a year. It's been over a year, and I haven't received anything but one time pictures and a video where he told me, "Hi, Mama." I thought it would be beautiful to make someone else's dream come true, even if it wasn't their dream. But it turned into a nightmare for me and my family, detrimental to our mental health. We've all suffered. It took a physical and mental toll on me and an emotional toll on my family during my pregnancy in the court case. My children did not cope well. Eventually, I had to take a 2-year hiatus and live with my mom. And I had to leave my older 2 children with their dad because it was in their best interest due to everything. When I moved in with my mom, she helped me care for my 10-year-old daughter at the time. She helped and cared for 2 years while I recovered because things got really bad. Surrogacy disrespects women by dehumanizing them, monetizing our bodies. Even during the contract stage, I was asked if I would do it again, as if I were a baby-making robot. Shortly after I returned from the UK court case, my lawyers asked if I would carry another baby and wanted me to sign a new contract. I deeply regret using my body in this way. I was vulnerable and no one stood up for me. I wasn't able to fight any more than I did. Although I didn't give my consent to the adoption, my parental rights were still removed. The child does not carry my DNA, so the secret of his birth will die with me and the other family members who know. How will he know that I wanted him? Who's going to tell him? When did a woman's right to have a child mean that it would have to take away another woman's right to have contact with a child that she gave birth to? That's all. I have pictures of my 3 children and none of my 4th because I'm not allowed to have a picture of my son. That's all. Thank you for listening.